Comrades, my name is Keir Starmer, and I'm here to fuck the foundations. When I became your Prime Minister, not only did I get new hair and glasses provided by a donor who now has full access to 10 Downing Street and my bedroom, we were promised three things. Number one, we would be fully costed and fully funded. We're so fully funded and fully costed, we're essentially just like Katie Price, or HS2, or the public sector in Argentina pre-Milei, depending on your sense of humour. In order to make the £22 billion hole in the budget even worse, we have spunked a whole bunch of cash at train drivers and junior doctors. This guarantees two things. Number one, they will vote Labour. Number two, nurses and teachers will be on strike again by the end of the week.
Keir Starmer, the man who somehow transformed the Labour Party into a lifeless beige screensaver, is having yet another political wobble. And the unlikely trigger? Katie Hopkins. Yes, the tabloid tornado herself sliced through his carefully constructed image like a butter knife through stale quiche at a Hampstead brunch. When your public image takes a bruising from someone who tweets like she's auditioning for a Gladiator reboot, you know your grip on credibility is hanging by a thread.
Good morning, it's Keir here. My director of strategy, who's a right ginger, has said that I should explain our new policy on migration very simply. So before, we loved illegals. We couldn't get enough of illegals. Illegals, come, welcome. I helped bring them in. I put them in hotels. I also love a Rwandan. I love me a stubby Rwandan. In fact, I love all illegals because they are the ones that vote for us. So if you go to any of the Labour strongholds, Luton, Leicester, Birmingham, Bradford, all you'll find is Muslims, and we can buy their vote for 20 quid.
Once branded Sir Sensible, Starmer now carries the aura of a puzzled dad in a Tesco Express, realising the self-checkout can't process existential dread. After years of packaging himself as the political version of oat milk, bland, non-threatening and vaguely ethical, his carefully curated calm finally cracked. Like a philosophy student leading a group project with Liz Truss on deadline.
Here's the thing, Keir. I've had a thought that fixes a lot of your problems. So, you're looking to put boots on the ground in Ukraine, specifically Kyiv. I thought, why don't you get all the people that had a Ukraine flag on their social media profile? Obviously, they had to take down their NHS one and their LGBTQ one to put up the Ukraine one. But those people, and the people who took in a Ukrainian into their homes like a little pet, you know, just for Christmas. People that are like, oh yeah, we've got one. Yeah, we've got a Ukrainian family. Yeah. We've got a Ukrainian family, yeah, because we're a better kind of person. Yeah, it's just who we are. Maybe they should be the ones that put boots on the ground over in Ukraine because they obviously care so deeply about the whole situation. And then you could just leave the rest of us mardy bastards alone.
Let's unpack how Sir Snooze accidentally bumbled into another PR bonfire. Picture a man so allergic to conviction, he probably Googles "what is an opinion" 3 times before lunch. He's tried to rebrand Labour by vacuuming out every trace of Labour, leaving behind a lukewarm Financial Times editorial and an espresso machine that only serves centrism.
Breaking news here in Batshit Bonkers, Britain in my shit panda, where Keir Starmer is failing harder than cheap toilet paper. He can't keep his own shit in order at this point. He's lied about simply everything from pensions to taxation to monetary policy, and now he's going to raise council tax by 10%. He even broke rules during lockdown when he had his vocal coach over to give him some lessons, and she did a pretty poor job because he still sounds like he's got a major stinking cold even when he's denying stuff he obviously did.
And then in strides Katie Hopkins, armed with nothing but rage, a thesaurus, and zero filter. She didn't even need to dig deep. Watching Keir unravel under her blunt force commentary was like watching a soufflé collapse when someone sneezes in the next room. The guy has the emotional durability of a Jenga tower during an earthquake drill. It wasn't that she was profound, she simply pointed at the obvious and said, "Hey, look at that beige train wreck." And suddenly our PM in waiting morphed into middle manager in existential crisis faster than you can mutter focus group feedback. You could almost hear the gears grinding in his head as he realised charisma can't be downloaded as a PDF.
There is disengagement, there is a lack of trust, there's a sense of, well, no one's really representing me. I'd argue that around half this country, if you stopped and asked them in the street, as I do, would tell you there is no one in politics that actually comes close
to representing anything people think about in the streets, ordinary people like me. I also think the country is very aware that we have a Prime Minister that we didn't even vote for. I mean, as if you want to underline the fact that people have no faith in a system. We have some sort of leader that none of us ever had a chance of having a vote for.
And here's the kicker. It wasn't about policy. Of course not. Keir would need a policy for that. No, this was about optics, his favourite toy. He treats optics like a toddler treats glitter. Throw it around and hope someone's impressed. Now he's baffled, it's all exploded in his face. Starmer's political arc is like a slapstick sitcom in slow motion, where every stumble is rebranded as a new direction. He began as a human rights lawyer, full of promise. Then centrism happened, and he's looked lost ever since. Like he wandered into a policy seminar, mistook it for a brunch, and decided to wing it.
Keir Starmer now says he's the guy that's going to control our borders. The same Keir Starmer that decriminalised illegal immigration, has prioritised illegals over our own good people, has thrown them into hotels and generally prioritised them for housing as well, and wanted to make sure that anyone who spoke out against illegal immigration was called far right and put in prison. But now suddenly he's all for it. He also says that those arriving in our country should speak English. Maybe he could go to Birmingham or Bradford or Luton or Leicester or any other of his voting areas and say that, because none of them will understand a bloody word.
Remember when he was pledging to nationalise railways? Bold, right? Cut to him whispering sweet nothings to investment bankers in some financial speakeasy, assuring them their greed is actually just economic enthusiasm. If Starmer were a household item, he'd be a weather vane with a law degree, spinning wildly but always wearing a tie. Let's not skip over his opposition game. This is a man who faces government scandal with all the urgency of a spoon battling soup. Ineffective, slippery, and increasingly pointless. The Tories throw corruption around like it's a group sport, and there's Keir, politely holding a sign that reads, "Could we perhaps not?" while standing behind a velvet rope.
Breaking news here in batshit bonkers Britain, where there's a story it seems the mainstream aren't keen to carry into this week, which is the story of the non-English speaking Ukrainian bum boy that set fire to Keir Starmer's apartment, his home, his old car and all sorts of other things. Rumour has it the bum boy was recommended to Keir by Zelensky, who'd used him often and found his services to be very enjoyable. More on that, I'm sure.
His approach to urgency is nestled somewhere between a Sunday nap and a foggy forecast. It's opposition politics done as interpretive jazz. Lots of noise, no melody, and the audience left wondering if they're the punchline. Katie didn't need nuance or research. She just did what no one on Starmer's comms team has the guts to do. Say the truth, out loud, unfiltered, and he had no idea how to respond. This is a man who wouldn't know what to do with a raw opinion if it showed up gift-wrapped and certified by swing voters in Stoke. Predictably, he responded in classic Starmer style, blinking, mumbling about serious leadership, and then doing absolutely nothing. It's a kind of tragicomedy that doesn't even qualify for Shakespeare, more like a toaster fire blamed on the proletariat. Keir spent the last half-decade trying to prove he's not Jeremy Corbyn, and somewhere along the way became the human embodiment of a blank Excel spreadsheet. Every cell? TBC. Leadership? Under revision. Passion? Pending review.
Breaking news from batshit bonkers Britain, where Labour have finally decided to withdraw their support from their candidate in Rochdale, a gentleman called Azhar Ali. He was saying things that were frightfully popular with the Muslim massive up there and the Palestinian, pro-Palestinian mob he represents. Things like Jews were responsible for October the 9th and other wildly anti-Semitic stuff. He would have got elected for sure, but finally Keir Starmer thinks it might not do the PR of the Labour Party too much good, so they've pulled their support.
Enter Katie, looking like she just popped out for coffee and decided to destroy a man's political persona on the way. She didn't shout. She didn't even sweat. It was like watching someone deflate a bouncy castle using nothing but eye contact. Starmer tried to counter with his usual vague concern meets mild disappointment face. The one he saves for when Labour voters ask him to actually stand for something. But the look has all the impact of a wet sock and the authority of a part-time supply teacher on the last day of term. The man's turned ambiguity into an art form. He's trying to appeal to everyone, leftists, centrists, Tories on the fence. Your Aunt June, who loves Bake Off and thinks the country's just lost its way a bit. The result? A Frankenstein's monster of political buzzwords like bold, fair, and let's carefully listen to the people before ignoring them entirely. It's like watching someone play political Jenga while blindfolded, then wonder why it all fell apart. Meanwhile, Labour's base is split between disappointed parents and people who've been on hold with British Gas for 2 hours. They wanted change. They got Keir Starmer, a man who makes Ed Miliband look like he's been shot out of a cannon. Somehow, Starmer has made Boris Johnson seem exciting and Rishi Sunak seem awake. And when he's finally asked to take a stand, he drops it like a bar of soap in a prison shower. Every time he starts with "let me be clear," you know what follows will be a verbal tap dance around the actual issue, concluding with a shrug so passive-aggressive it needs its own postcode. His entire strategy seems to be, don't rock the boat. But the boat is on fire, sinking and heading for the rocks, and he's there offering a strongly worded memo to the captain.
Do I think Starmer has seen Angela's Furburger? Oh no. I believe, personally, my personal opinion is that Keir Starmer's gay. He seems gay to me. My gaydar goes off, but in a bad way. Not a good gay, like a gay, like a Macron gay, a Trudeau gay, shady little bastard gay. So I would say Keir Starmer's gay. Yeah, that would be my personal opinion.
And so, when Katie Hopkins decided to use him as a verbal punching bag, it wasn't just effective, it was effortless. She didn't hit a nerve. She unplugged his entire nervous system and used it to jumpstart her podcast ratings. In that moment, Starmer was exposed as what he's always been, a man so allergic to confrontation he probably asks his barista for a conflict-free flat white. His slogans read like rejected calendar quotes: a fairer Britain, a stronger future, a slightly more coordinated Thursday. They carry all the passion of a tax return. Even Labour MPs are reportedly faking enthusiasm, blinking in Morse code behind him during speeches like political hostages praying for a leadership upgrade. Every Starmer address feels like it should come with PowerPoint slides asking for feedback on tone. He's the only politician who can deliver a rallying cry and have the entire room check their watches. Meanwhile, Katie Hopkins, wielding spite and sarcasm like she's in a fencing match with reality, somehow feels more real than the guy who's meant to be Prime Minister. That's how low we've set the bar. The worst part? Keir thinks he's playing 4D chess, but he's just knocking over pawns and calling it strategy. He believes standing still is statesmanship. In truth, he's just letting everyone else draw the map. And now Hopkins has scribbled irrelevant across it in glitter ink.
In other news, another Ukrainian bum boy arrested for firebombing Keir Starmer's home. These rent boys are going to appear at the Old Bailey on the 6th of June. They're expected to arrive in a rainbow-coloured police car, dressed in fetish gear and pup play, because that's how Keir likes it. And finally, Labour have cancelled their women's conference the day before their main conference because men who have their cocks tucked into women's panties aren't going to be allowed to attend. So Labour have cancelled their women's conference because men can't go to it. That's it. Bonkers Britain.
You know you're in trouble when your fiercest critic sees more clearly than your supporters. Keir isn't failing because of Katie Hopkins. She just held up a mirror. And in that reflection, a man in a tinfoil suit, melting under the spotlight of one offhand insult. The illusion of steady leadership is gone. What's left is a ghost, haunting the party he promised to lead, armed with no vision, no fire, and not even the decency to make it interesting.